I'm really delighted to see the reawakening of the Association of the Palestinian Community in the UK. And allow me to start by mentioning that we are privileged today to have among us Vanessa Redgrave. Vanessa Redgrave, that both the world-famous author Tennessee Williams and the famous, world-famous actor, right-wing, Charlton Heston, both said that she was the greatest actress on earth. Wow. I know that in the 21st century there were a few films, Palestinian films, that were nominated for awards in the Oscars. And in the last Oscar ceremony, a Jewish filmmaker mentioned his sympathy and his empathy with the Palestinian people. Vanessa Redgrave spoke about Palestinians and Palestine in the ceremony of 1978, already last century. Dear friends, the playwright Bertolt Brecht, in his play on Galileo, has a profound scene where Galileo in the courtroom retracts on his scientific findings under the physical pressure of the Inquisition. Physical pressure meaning torture. And in the room there was one of his disciples who looks at him with disgust and says, "Unhappy are the people who have no heroes." To which Galileo answers, "No, my friend, unhappy are the people who still have a need for heroes." Wow. I think we are here unanimous to believe that we, the Palestinian people, have still a need for heroes. And let me tell you, we are gathered here today to commemorate the Nakba, the ongoing process of the Nakba, and pay tribute and bow in respect to the collective hero, the Palestinian people. Yes. Yes, we are exhausted, physically and psychologically. Yes, we are wounded. Yes, we are bleeding. Yet, we are unbroken, untamed, undomesticated, unbowed, and undefeated. Friends, for 40 years, I kept saying, I do not belong to the optimistic school of thought that promises victory to the oppressed. I am against predetermination. History is always in the making, its destination unknown. And let me tell you, I always believed that the dilemma in the Middle East was either that there is a state missing or there is a people too many, this time we the Palestinians. I believe the answer of the international community has been that there is a state missing, needing to be created. But I have news for you. History is still undecided. And our task, our challenge, Dr. Nihad, is how to help history make the right choice. Up to recently, because we have been the victims of European history, we did not get our legitimate share of sympathy, solidarity, and support. Many trivialized and banalized our suffering, which was hardly even recognized. Our victims, unmourned, looked as though they were nameless, faceless, motherless, fatherless, childless, worthless. But today, things are changing. And you have been one of the many vehicles of the change that is occurring. Political scientists, during the last 2 decades, have once announced the end of history, Fukuyama, or at other moments have announced the end of ideology. Well, today I'm proud to say that I am sure that at least we haven't witnessed the end of idealism. And I believe that the demonstrations of Washington, of London, from Belgium to Berkeley, that are occurring on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, are a proof that we haven't witnessed the end of ideology. My friends, there are promising signs around the world. And I believe one of those is the number of Jewish individuals and institutions that have been extremely assertive and vocal, saying, "Not in our name." And I have frequently repeated to Jewish audiences, including in synagogues, by saying, if a Palestinian state is our right, it is the moral obligation, the ethical duty of Israeli Jews and Jewish communities around the world, because they, more than anybody else, know the human price, individual and collective, that we have had to pay for the birth of the Israeli state. So it's our right, it's their duty. Another encouraging phenomenon, dear friend, is the fact that today in Western countries, public opinion is by far more advanced than the official policies of their governments. And this will inevitably be translated in the political sphere and arena at one moment, hopefully very soon, if we act intelligently. And I personally believe that opinion polls conducted in the UK show that there is overwhelming sympathy towards the Palestinian aspiration and empathy for the Palestinian suffering of over 70% of public opinion, covering including those who vote for the Conservative Party. Now let me tell you, I personally believe that this is the first election in the UK where the Palestinian, the Arab and the Muslim vote will be struggling to make itself heard and counted. And I welcome this phenomenon. Now let me tell you very frankly, we, the Palestinian community in the UK, do not have the critical mass to weigh decisively in any direction. The Arab community is much more sizable, but unfortunately, as you know, the Orient is disoriented, and that Arab community is as fragmented as the Arab world is. The Iraqis, big community, are in three, at least, divided. The Lebanese, between the government and the opposition, at least in two. The Lebanese, 17 denominations of different religious sects, etc., etc. But we, the Palestinians, can be the unifying factor and the inspiring actor. The Muslim community is our logical, sociological hinterland with whom we should make an alliance and an osmosis. I have said at the beginning of the crisis 8 months ago that in Western democracies there is what they call the pendulum phenomenon. And here in the UK, after 14 years of conservative government, with 5 successive uninspired and uninspiring prime ministers, the pendulum was inevitably going to go towards the Labour, even if it is led by a very underwhelmingly charismatic leader, Keir Starmer. And I said some 8 months ago that our ideal scenario for us Palestinians, but also for democracy in the UK, is that Labour, who's going to be unavoidably the first party in the country, hopefully will not enjoy a numerical majority in parliament. Unfortunately, we are witnessing the collapse of the Conservatives because of infighting and because of the competition of the Reform Party with Farage phenomenon, etc. It's unfortunate because I think it would have been healthier for British politics to have a more vibrant Conservative Party struggling to maintain as much of their presence in Parliament as possible. But many Palestinians, many Arab Britishers and many Muslims will be rewarding those MPs who have voted in favor of ceasefire now, stop exporting arms, refund the UNRWA, etc., etc., and punishing those who have been cowardly, because Palestine has always been the test between courage, political courage, and moral cowardice. We have to reward those who stood by us in our moment of difficulty and pain, and to punish those who have been insensitive to our legitimate aspirations. And political observers will discover that Many hundreds of thousands of additional votes will be pouring towards the Liberal Democrats and the Greens, and they will understand the significance and from where they are coming. But my hope, dear friends, is the following. We have to raise our voice, and this is why I'm happy that the Palestinian Association of the Palestinian Community is resurrecting. Because we have a dynamic ambassador and a dynamic embassy. But we should also have a dynamic and very sophisticated community. An embassy and an ambassador, Dr. Nihad, is a foreign agent, an external factor. You, the community, you are a domestic actor. And you will be differently heard, differently listened by all the other actors in society. And I personally believe today, with the reawakening of the association, you can engage with the sociological components of British society in a much more assertive manner. Now, ladies and gentlemen, diplomacy is the marketing department. The product back home has to be fresh, appealing, and appetizing. And those who know me, my close friends, know that my opinion for the last 25 years has been that we, the Palestinians, we do not yet have the authority we deserve better. Nor do we have the oppositions we need better oppositions. So there is room for improvement. And apparently Helmut Schmidt, Chancellor in Germany some 20 years ago, used to say, the biggest room on earth is the room for improvement. So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we should aspire more. We should be more demanding from our political establishment, left, right, and center. And if not now, when are we going to achieve national unity? When? I don't know. So I personally believe we should not allow the appointment that all the factions have taken at the invitation of China for the 26th of this month in Beijing to pass unnoticed and in a routinish manner. We expect them and we should pressure them, and we rely on you as our spokesperson towards the political establishment that they go there with the intention of achieving an agreement and a consensus. And the challenge is the following. We Palestinians, we need to have a government that enjoys domestic legitimacy and international acceptability. Had we been more careful and more responsible in our behavior, domestic legitimacy by itself would have been sufficient. But we have not been very responsible in our behavior and attitude, etc. This is why I put the two prerequisites of domestic legitimacy and international acceptability. Now, in the past, they used to say, we seem to be condemned to either have unity, but a paralytic unity, or a clear strategy. I believe we should bypass this dichotomy. We can have unity and a strategy. And belonging proudly to Fateh, let me tell you of my exasperation often that we have been criticized, not always legitimately, for having discovered the limits of the possible 30 years before others. And I believe that we should have a genuine dialogue with great responsibility, showing political maturity and political statesmanship. What is statesmanship? What's the difference between statesman and a politician? A politician, Dr. Nihad, is a person who cannot resist the temptations of an immediate gain, even if it's at the detriment of a long-term acquisition. And the statesman is somebody who can disregard an immediate possible gain so as to obtain and to attain a long-term gain. I believe we need statesmanship, and we need to have a very sophisticated public opinion. I personally believe in the importance of public opinion. I never liked the word the Arab street, by the way, because it encourages our politicians to behave in a street-like manner. No, I would like them to be very polished, very sophisticated, decent, self-respecting, And I think that we, public opinion, and today I am a tired and retired diplomat, but I am part of public opinion. I think we should be very demanding vis-à-vis the performance of those who tend to pretend or tend to represent us. Dear friends, I won't flagellate you further. I know we are running a little bit late on your program. I have, like many people, more questions than answers, so help me, spare me of not being in the embarrassing task of having to respond to questions for which I might not have the convincing answers to, but I wish us success, and we need to be united, cohesive, perseverant, because cohesiveness was never our forte, perseverance also was never our forte. We need coherence and perseverance.